Good morning, everyone. Welcome to First Church of Religious Science, First Center of Religious Science. Welcome, friends, to our sacred space where we gather to explore, to reflect, and to commune with Spirit and to step into our highest potential. I see many of you lighting up the screen on Zoom, so welcome to all who are tuning in on Zoom. I want to welcome all of you who are watching us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Wherever you're tuning in, whatever platform. Many of you are tuning in from distant places all over the world, so we're deeply honored and grateful to have you be part of our community and be with us in this moment of connection. It's always inspiring to see our community lighting up from all corners of the world. We're getting comments and commentary now from people just about from everywhere, so it's really wonderful. And this is our living reminder that Spirit itself knows no boundaries. It's everywhere present. Spirit only knows unity, connection, and love. We're in a new year now, filled with new opportunities, and I'm grateful that we have this gathering and this time together. I want to say that for those of you who might be very new, every Wednesday at 7, Jimmy or James here, who is our host, also facilitates the Wednesday evening Creative Livings series, which is a spirit-led gathering, a class. And every Thursday at 7, I host the Louise Hay You Can Heal Your Life class, which is a new thought class where we work with affirmations and many of the Louise Hay lessons and exercises. Most of you know Louise was a student here at First Church. She was a practitioner here. She studied under Raymond Charles Barker. And then here we are Sunday mornings. We start usually around 11. Our meditation starts at 10:45. So I'm glad to have you with us. Every gathering and every message we have is available for replay again on Facebook and YouTube. So you can see in the chat room there the links. So that will ensure you're never far away from this vibrant spiritual family. Your presence today is a gift to us. It's the greatest gift of all. Every week we offer these lessons freely. They're based on love offerings. If you'd like to support the work we do, you'll see that there are support options in the chat. So you can go ahead if you're able to support us. But be clear, there's no obligation to be with us. You can tune in. You can encourage your friends to tune in. We don't send out any envelopes. We just know that we're supplied and supported. So I trust that people do what they can if they can. Being here is the big thing. Being fully present in this moment is the most important thing of all. So thank you for choosing to spend your time with us this morning. Our theme today is the infinite power unlocked. And that reminds me of Louise Hay's expression, deep at the center of my being, is this infinite power. So we're always wanting to learn how to unlock it, to use it, right? Today I'm going to be talking a little bit about the third and fourth chapters in our textbook. We used to do a lesson, 4 lessons a month in the month of January, the 4 chapters, but I'm combining 2 of them today, the main points. So today we continue our journey into Ernest Holmes' timeless wisdom. First of all, I'd like you to consider spirit as a presence, or as it was said to me when I was quite a bit younger, it's a presence that's never an absence. So I became acquainted with the word omnipresence. And I'd like everyone here to be familiar with that word too, because what it's going to suggest to you is, if you think of omni meaning, it's all presence. It's all presence, it's all power. So we live in it, we move in it, we have our being in this energy. There's never 2 energy. There's not 2, it's 1. There's one power, one energy permeating everything. And we are part of that energy. And Ernest Holmes will say, not only are we part of it, it responds to us. And let's think of this spirit, this presence, as an activity. One of my teachers used to say it's a verb. And my teacher was trying to get me to understand this is an activity, it's a presence, it's an activity, it's always in motion, always in activity, always creating. So we have within us this power, it's a part of us, we're one with it. And here's a truth that could take your breath away if you just would really deeply take it in. This power is creating through us. Yes, this power is creating through you. It's creating through your mentality, through your consciousness. You'll hear us say many weeks, the universe can't do for you what it can't do through you. So we have to open up the channels within ourselves so we can receive good. The kingdom of people talk about is at hand. The presence, the power is available. It's here, it's now, it's in you, it's operating through you. But it can only give you according to what you can receive. So the message is very clear in this chapter that our work is to enlarge our capacity, to realize that this kingdom, this power is at hand. It's here, it's now, always has been, never been denied us. It's just, if we have blocks to it, and we don't love ourselves enough, as Louise would say, we limit what we can receive. So this third chapter opens us up a little bit to this. The idea that this spirit is a presence, it's an activity, and it's always creating, and it creates through you. That's the truth that I said could take your breath away. It's creating through us, through your receptivity. So what we'll explore today is how to step more fully into that creative process, how to align ourselves a little bit more with spirit to co-create lives that are filled with joy, meaning, and abundance. So here we go into the third chapter, what it does. Ernest Holmes invites us to consider in this chapter one of the most empowering ideas in the textbook. He said, spirit's always at work. Again, it's a verb. It's always in motion, right? It's an activity. It's not something distant either or removed. It is the very essence of life itself. Imagine, if you can, for a moment, that spirit is like the sun. It never stops shining. It never pauses in its radiance. Whether you see it or not, just like the sun, it's always giving and it's always providing. This is the nature of spirit. It is constant, it's creative always, and it's endlessly generous. Ernest Holmes tells us that spirit is not only the source of all life, but also operates again through us, as us. That's a really important thing to start to understand, that God can't do for you what it can't do through you. If you don't like the word God, use another word. The process of life can't do anything for you unless you open up the channel, unless you open yourself up so that it can operate through you. What it does is it takes raw material, the raw material of our thoughts, beliefs, and our feelings, and it transforms them into our experiences. It takes all these raw thoughts, these ideas, our emotions, all of it, and transforms it into the experiences that we see in our lives. I have a little poem to illuminate. In fact, that's the name of the poem, to illuminate. The sun, a force, steadfast and true, it shines through clouds for me and for you. Its radiance knows no pause, no end, like spirit's power, our constant friend. With every thought, a seed is sown. From spirit's light, the growth is shown. What will you plant? What will you grow? Spirit mirrors what you bestow. So there's a nice little poem for us. So let's reflect on a couple ideas, recap this key idea. Spirit works for us, again, by working through us. David Walker, one of my teachers, used to say, we're opening up avenues in mind. In other words, I can't receive good if I have a lot of blocks, if I have a lot of limiting beliefs, right? But as I learn to open up avenues in mind that I'm supplied and I'm supported, I'm creative, I'm successful. As I open up avenues in mind where I know these things and I believe these things, Spirit will work through me because I have a greater receptivity to the good that's all around me and within me. Spirit, again, works for us by working through us. Hoping everybody's saying that together now. It works for us by working through us. Is not waiting for the right moment or the perfect person to come into our life. Spirit is always active. Spirit is always creating. So let's take a moment today to reflect on our thoughts, what it's been like being us. Let's take a moment to reflect on our beliefs, whether we think they're positive or not, and our inner dialogue. Are your thoughts in alignment with the life that you want to create? I have a little story for you. Some of you may remember this story, but it bears repeating from time to time because its truth is timeless. Years ago, one of my friends was struggling to see the good, or the good in her life, the divine in her life. I remember she was feeling stuck, as though her circumstances were fixed and unchangeable. I encouraged her, like I have many others over the years, to start with a gratitude journal, because I know gratitude is causative. I knew it would help her have a shift in the way she was looking at her life. And usually when I make this suggestion, I'll say, why don't you, at the very least, write down 3 things every day that you're grateful for? And sometimes that's hard to do if you're in a bad space. But if you focus on finding 3 things that you're grateful for, it will bring forth a shift. And in her case, I remember her resisting a lot, saying, what's the point? Nothing works for me. And on, and reciting a bunch of negative feelings. And I do recall with her, she told me to get real because she was dug in on how awful things were. And I remember her saying, my life won't change because of me saying a few affirmations or writing on a page when I was suggesting that she journal on gratitude. I've had some tough clients over the years, but I told her, this will work if you do it. It works if you work it. Spirit always works if you stay with it. That's one of the reasons those of you who show up every week, and some of you really do, you show up, you do the work. And because of that, you're having demonstrations, and many of us are noticing them. We're noticing a lot of people in this group having a lot of positive demonstrations. It's because you're showing up and you're doing the work. So I want to acknowledge those of you who are doing it. I can hear it in your remarks week by week. But back to this lady, I remember her case. And so she said it was going to take a lot more than affirmations for her to change. And I told her, though, nothing's going to change unless you change the way you think about your life. And the thing is, she believed me at least. So there's an old expression from 12-step programs. If you don't believe, believe that we believed. Believe that we believe. And in her case, she did believe me, and she did start doing some of the work. And she got a little bit more serious. And as she did, of course, what do you suppose happened? She started having a few demonstrations. And that won't surprise anybody on our call today. Things began to shift for her. She started noticing some small, what we'll call blessings. Maybe she, I remember, she was noticing people smiling in the subway or whatever it was, the subway or the train. She started noticing things in nature. And she started noticing unexpected things. And that's the beginning. You know, again, if you start committing yourself to seeing the good, if this is your commitment to come from gratitude, you're bound to start having a shift in consciousness. And all of you will understand it had happened with her because she was starting to focus on what's here, what's present. She was starting to focus on what she has and how she's blessed. Because if you do it the other way, of what you don't have and what's missing, just the exact opposite will start to take place. In her case, Susan was her name. Her external circumstances hadn't yet changed, but what had changed was her perspective. And as her outlook shifted, so did her reality, or it started to. So I'm always telling people this whole thing that we're doing is always an inside job. It's always about the conversation you're having with the most important person in the world, which is yourself. As I said earlier, as within, so without. So whatever's going on in here, in your mind, in your consciousness, right, it gets played out in your day-to-day living. You have tremendous power at your disposal. These chapters remind you of that. Again, as within, so without. This is what spirit does. It works through the medium of our consciousness. And that's pointed out in these 2 chapters. Spirit operates through the medium of our consciousness, reflecting back to us the thoughts and the beliefs that we choose to nurture. Ernest Holmes in these chapters put it simply: life is a mirror, and it will reflect back to the thinker what he or she thinks into it. I don't know if he had that in the 3rd or 4th chapter, but that's what is meant in these chapters, that life mirrors us. In the textbook where Ernest Holmes speaks about how to use it, we can start out with a great question. What if I asked you whether you realized right now that you have within you untapped power? So we start out with that question. I'm asking you right now, do you realize the power that you have? Untapped. Do you realize the power you have right now to use? And what if I asked you if this power, what if I told you this power is an infinite wellspring of creative energy? So deep at the center of your being, you have this infinite wellspring of energy, and it's just waiting for your discovery. It's just waiting for you to use it. From the movie The Secret years ago, I remember the one line from the genie in the sky. And the line was, "Your wish is my command." The universe waits on you to make a decision. What you know, what you realize, is its command. It's really always your decision. And your decision is what makes life move. Your decision is what makes life go forward. Ernest Holmes believed this with every fiber of his being. And today we're going to explore not only how to access it, but how to use it to transform our life. This isn't just a theory or a philosophy. It's the blueprint for living your most extraordinary spirit-filled life. So let's dive in. So Ernest Holmes describes spirit as the silent partner that's always in operation in our lives, always present, always working, waiting for us to take the lead, responding to us. He suggested we approach the study of life in nature and with the science of mind. He said, study it with a sense of awe, because we're always studying the nature of the infinite. I remember taking a course of Joseph Campbell's years ago, and Joseph Campbell, this was for teachers, he suggested we keep pointing people to the mystery, to that thing inside of ourselves, and to approach it with awe. Keep pointing people toward the idea that the spirit is alive and awake. So we are one with this activity. We know that it's responding to us. That's what Holmes is trying to say to us in this lesson. So I'd like you to imagine for a moment that your life is a vast, think of the biggest canvas, blank canvas you can imagine. And where you know that spirit is providing you with this canvas, this big blank canvas, and all the tools that you need. And it's going to give you a brush, and the brush represents your thoughts. And here you get to create your life. You are caused your own experience. So I'm going to ask you to imagine, to ask yourself, what masterpiece am I painting? What's my life all about? What is the masterpiece of my life? Now, some people will hesitate, afraid to make a mistake. Ernest Holmes reminds us that spirit is the ultimate collaborator, though. It doesn't judge you, it doesn't judge the strokes, or it doesn't limit the colors. Spirit is always saying, yes, let's create together. So the question isn't, will spirit help me? But rather, the question is, am I going to trust spirit, and am I going to use my power? Am I willing to pick up the brush and begin? Years ago, we had a young artist with us who wanted to paint, as I recall, a sunrise. Every morning she'd wake up before dawn and walk up a hill carrying her canvas and her paintings. So she went up this quiet hill overlooking the horizon, but something strange happened. When she looked at the blank canvas, she always hesitated. She worried about whether her colors would be right or good enough, whether her technique was okay, whether anyone would ever like her work. So she froze, morning after morning, until one day she realized the sunrise wasn't waiting for her approval. It was happening whether she painted or not. So that one morning, she picked up her brush and she painted. She didn't worry about getting it perfect. She simply let the sun rise, move through her, and allowed it to translate its beauty onto the canvas. And that was the day where her art really came alive. And see, this is how spirit works. It doesn't wait for you to be perfect. You're already perfect in its eyes. It waits for you simply to say yes to life. Louise Hay was telling us that all those years ago. Say yes to life. Know that you're supplied and supported in everything you do. Be open to it. Trust it. The question for us all today, this reminds me of Louise Hay, are you saying yes enough to life? Life is giving you endless opportunities, endless opportunities. So pay attention to its clues, because life gives clues also. I dug up in my notes from one of these old talks, an old saying, which is God and I are a majority. I'm sure you've all heard it before. I don't know where I heard it first. I don't know that I ever really paid a lot of attention to it either. But today, as I was putting my notes together and thinking about this lesson in relation to Ernest Holmes, Ernest Holmes was speaking about the power of our conviction. And he said powerfully, one alone in consciousness with the infinite constitutes a complete majority. So that might have been where I heard it first. I'm not sure. But the quote is very beautiful. One alone in consciousness with the infinite constitutes a complete majority. So I'm wondering who said it first. It doesn't really matter. But the idea that Ernest Holmes stated is really beautiful. For the third time, one alone in consciousness with the infinite constitutes a complete majority. That's such a powerful idea. In other words, when we align ourselves fully with spirit, when we know that we're one with it, there's nothing that will stand in our way, nothing that will stand in the way of our good. This idea is echoed beautifully in the words of Emerson, who said, do the thing and you shall have the power. Once again, do the thing that you dream, right? And you will have the power. Spirit doesn't wait for us to feel ready. Spirit moves when we move. I love those ideas. Do the thing and you shall have the power. Spirit doesn't wait for you to feel ready. It moves when we move. It's not our job to figure out every step of the journey. It's our job, though, to start walking, trusting that Spirit will light the way. We do affirmative prayer here. I was told when I was younger to do affirmative prayer early, late, and often. We used to call it affirmative prayer treatment. And we do our work, remember, in consciousness. And there's an expression that was passed on to me when I was learning this material. When we treat, we move our feet. In other words, we take action. We take inspired action. We don't have to figure it all out. I just taught you that, right? Again, but it's our job to start walking and trusting that Spirit will light the way. We trust that Spirit will provide guidance, and it does, and it will. So let's reflect on the profound significance of what we've explored in these two chapters today in the science of mind. These aren't just concepts. They're keys to living a life of true transformation. These brief chapters hold the promise of freedom, creativity, and power when we align with the infinite potential of Spirit. Today, we've been reminded a couple times of two extraordinary truths. Spirit is one energy, and it's always creating. It's constantly at work, using the medium of our thoughts and our beliefs to shape our experiences. Life is like a mirror, reflecting always back to us whatever we bring to it. And it doesn't matter whether it's love, it will reflect it back. Or if it's fear and doubt, it will reflect that back as well. The second major point in the lesson reminds us that we are co-creators. And Spirit is providing the energy and the tools. But it's our participation and it's our clarity and our action that brings the masterpiece of our lives into being. These principles empower us to live intentionally, joyfully, and abundantly. When we take hold of these truths, we know we have this power. When we take hold of it, we know we have this brush we can paint with. We awaken to our roles as divine creators, and the possibilities become limitless for us. These chapters are important chapters, and they're found in the beginning of the textbook. Ernest Holmes said they're important because they suggest to us the limitless possibilities of Spirit are ours to enjoy. The only question is, what are you going to do with these powers? What will you do with the realization that you have this power to use? Chapters 3 and 4 challenge us to answer those questions with boldness and with conviction. These chapters matter because they remind us that Spirit is not outside of you. Spirit is immanent. It's in us. It's operating through us as us. Spirit is a presence, and it's never an absence. Please never think of this creative activity or this source as external. You are always one with it. We're talking about the energy that's in all things. It's the very life force within us now, responding perfectly to our thoughts and our beliefs. Both of these chapters invite us to move beyond fear and hesitation and step into the fullness of who we are. Ernest Holmes said, we can attract only that which we mentally become and mentally embody. I'm sure most of you have heard this quote before. What the mind can see and believe, it will achieve. That's why clarity and faith and Spirit are so important. Whatever the mind can see and believe, it will naturally attract. When we know what we want and believe, it's already ours. When we're clear about it, Spirit moves heaven and earth to bring it into being. So it's important to have this bold vision. Imagine, again, a different scenario. This time you're an architect designing your dream home. Spirit is the construction team, ready to build whatever you envision, but it needs the blueprint. Without a clear plan, the builders have nothing to create. Ernest Holmes reminds us that clarity is everything. In our teaching, we learn to have positive expectancy in all things. Dr. Holmes said, we should expect the best and so live that the best may become part of our experience. Spirit's infinitely creative, but we must meet it with vision and positive expectancy. When we do, miracles become the norm. You might question of yourself, who am I to have these great ideas? Others have had similar questions. You've heard authors like Louise Hay, Marianne Williamson, really many who will give you the answer to that question. You are one with the one. You are the whole bit. When you realize that you are totally supplied and supported, and when you have positive expectancy, and as you trust in the process of life more and more, you're going to have every kind of demonstration. So as we think about today and the week ahead, let's take with us some of our lessons from today. I'm going to give you 3 steps. Begin each morning with this bold affirmation. I'm the architect of my life. I'm the whole bit. So have a daily positive declaration. Here, you can try this one. I am the architect of my life. I am the whole bit. Secondly, or you may add to that, and I know Spirit works through me to create a world of joy and abundance. I can repeat, I am the architect of my life. I am the whole bit, and I absolutely know Spirit works through me to create a world of love, joy, and abundance. So do your affirmation with conviction and let it guide your day. And just a moment more about your vision. Write down one specific area of your life where you'd like to see transformation. And write it down with as much detail as you can, what it looks like, how it feels. Let yourself dream, let it be big, get clear and get focused. That's the second suggestion for this week. And here's the third question. What one deliberate act will you take toward moving in the direction of your vision. And remember, it doesn't have to be huge. It can be some small act. A small step will send a powerful signal to spirit that you're ready to create. What comes to mind for number 3? What one thing could you do? What deliberate act? So that's the third thing I'm going to leave you with. So let's bring this all together, solidify this with a brief and powerful process. Let's close our eyes once more. Picture yourself standing before a door. This door represents the infinite possibilities of spirit waiting for you to step through the door. With each breath, feel your courage growing. As you reach for the handle, imagine the door opening to reveal a world filled with your deepest desires, all made real. And affirm with me, I step boldly into the infinite possibilities of spirit. Again, I step boldly into the infinite possibilities of spirit. 2, my vision is clear, my faith is strong, and my actions align with my highest good. And next, I claim the fullness of life, knowing spirit supports me every step of the way. I claim the fullness of life, knowing spirit supports me every step of the way. So let's take one more deep breath, open our eyes, carry with you this sense of power and possibility into the week. I want to close with an affirmative prayer. I know that there's one infinite presence, one boundless creative force that governs life. This presence is spirit, and it flows in me, through me, as me in every single moment. I know that I'm one with this power. My thoughts are clear, my intentions are bold, and my actions align with the divine flow of life. Today, I release all fear and limitation. I claim a life of joy, abundance, and purpose. I know that spirit works through me to bring me my highest vision and to bring it into reality. I give thanks for the truth that I understand, for the miracles already unfolding, and for the infinite good that flows to me and through me, and so it is. Thank you, everybody, for being a part of our lesson this morning, where we re-explored these 2 great chapters. Now it's time to hear from all of you. If you're new, please say hello, say where you're from, share what came up for you during the lesson or whatever you'd like to share, what inspired you, what steps that you're willing to take this week to align with spirit. This is your moment to connect, reflect, and to inspire one another. So let's hear from you. Thank you all.